If you're empathic and you're highly intellectual and you caught my last video on why it is so exhausting being around people and being able to read people, this is a follow-up and I really want to respond to a very insightful comment from DCAT1730. Thank you so much for your insight and your sharing and your courage to ask the question. And I want to dig into it. I'm Chrissy, the emotional intelligence nurse. So let's talk about this. What you were asking about having that separation from being enmeshed or being in isolation is actually something that I want to completely flip around for you entirely. It's not necessarily about separation or isolation and those being our only two options. It is an orientation. So what I want to share in my work as the emotional intelligence nurse, as a past RN, and now a therapist is that the orientation happens in our upbringing, that our nervous system is going to orientate externally to the nervous systems around us, to our primary caregivers. This is simple biology. This is not a flaw. This happens for so many of us where we become so highly in tuned, we are externally orientated. That external orientation of our nervous system happens pre-verbally. It happens pre-cognitively. So what happens is it is a reflex. It is something that happens without thought and without sort of awareness, like an instinct. If you were to touch a hot pan, it is a nervous system instinct that you will withdraw. So what happens as we grow through our life is this orientation to an external nervous system can cause us some pain points because we end up being really good at reading people. We try to stay ahead of the emotional curve, so to speak. Then what happens is we get more verbal built into our brain, we get more cognitive awareness, we become more insightful, we even become more wise, and we learn more skills, and we learn more structure, and we learn more systems. We are trying to reorientate without even knowing it. We're trying to reorientate to be internally focused on ourselves so we don't become enmeshed, because enmeshment is painful. We feel like we lose sight of ourselves. We compromise our boundaries, or we self-abandon. Maybe we even self-reject, and it becomes so painful. So what's happening here is it's not necessarily that we need more separation. It's that we are looking to cultivate and build more of a practice. And it's a practice because it is something that needs progression, and it is something that is going to be lifelong. And that's okay. That's not a flaw. I don't say that to be discouraging, but we need more practice and a progression of internally orientating to ourselves first. Now, this doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen easy. And when our first instinct in that orientation reflex is to orientate to somebody else, that's okay. That is actually a superpower, but we just need to keep practicing coming back to ourself. Now, DCAT 1730, you mentioned in your comment, in your question, of noticing this pattern playing out, sort of as it's just kind of getting going or after the fact. That's beautiful insight and beautiful awareness where you are building your capacity already without me even having answered your question to orientate internally to yourself. Now, when we become in proximity with others, it is a natural thing. We are wired to connect. That's okay. Again, it's not a flaw, but it is a practice and an ongoing practice to keep orientating to yourself. So the question becomes not how do I cultivate separation from other people or how do I survive isolation, but the question becomes how do I continually orientate to myself internally when in proximity, when in relation to other people? How do I build in safeguards? How do I practice pauses? Or how do I step away from a relational interaction or give myself space, physical proximity from another body, from another nervous system to reorientate to myself? So that's the bigger question. I hope this answered what you were looking for. There is so much here that I would love to share with you. I am Chrissy, the emotional intelligence nurse. If you found this helpful, throw down a comment, throw down a question. What are you taking away from this? What could you add to this? Where have you done the work? Because it's not about needing more work. It's about reorientating the amazing stuff that you already have. I'm Chrissy, the emotional intelligence nurse. Don't forget to like and subscribe, follow along for more stuff just like this.